Who are college football's sleeping giants? That's exactly the question we're going to look to answer in today's video. Out of all 134 FBS teams, only a select few are going to compete and be at championship level in a given year. But I do think that there's some teams that, while they're not at a championship level right now, they're very capable of getting there very fast for a number of reasons. So today, we're going to look at the 6 teams that are the sleeping giants of college football. First, we have USC, which is honestly the most obvious sleeping giant, and I think one of the biggest in terms of what they will be capable of. Pete Carroll awakened USC from 2001 to 2009. They won 2 national titles, 6 New Year's 6 games, and went 97-19 during that stretch, which is unbelievable. Their national title in 2004 is still the last time a West Coast team won a national title, which is significant. Recruiting on the West Coast has gotten worse since that thing became a trend, and schools in the South don't really see any teams on the West Coast as a threat. They all saw USC as a threat, and more than a threat, just a huge annoyance. They were out here stealing national titles, stealing players, and performing at a really high level. USC, after Pete Carroll really struggled and couldn't make the right hires, they now have Lincoln Riley. It remains to be seen if Lincoln Riley can reawake this once great program, but I definitely think they are a sleeping giant. Next up is the Miami Hurricanes. Miami dominated college football in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s and had such a sustained run through multiple different coaches and iterations. It really felt like the Hurricanes might be good forever. Even recently, when they've struggled, they've only missed a bowl game 5 times in the last 26 years. So the Hurricanes are kind of just on another plane as a program. Part of their recent struggles have been associated with the demolition of the Orange Bowl, which was their home stadium and got demolished in 2008. And since then, their success has struggled, the culture has really suffered, and there's just been a lot of things that Miami football didn't typically deal with that have plagued them. They now play at Hard Rock Stadium, home of the Miami Dolphins. But Miami's going to be a team that's always capable of elite recruiting, as shown by Mario Cristobal, who has now landed back-to-back top 7 recruiting classes in 2023 and 2024. When I look at Miami, it sort of reminds me of a team like Texas. People were saying, is Texas back every year, just like with Miami? And the Longhorns actually broke through and made a playoff run under Sarkisian last season. Can Cristobal and company make that breakthrough in 2024? That's the question we're all looking to have answered. Virginia Tech is a team that might not be on a ton of people's lists as a sleeping giant, but the Hokies were a national powerhouse under Frank Beamer. Beamer took this program and after a slow start, got it absolutely humming down the stretch. They had a run where they finished in the top 25, 15 of 17 seasons in a row, and they have one of the best atmospheres in college football at Lane Stadium, and the house that Frank Beamer built is built to be a national contender. And what really took the wind out of their sails was the hire of Justin Fuente. It was a rough transition, and suddenly Virginia Tech in a very precarious spot. Brent Pry, the former Penn State defensive coordinator, is the new guy at the helm, and he's turning things around at Virginia Tech. Can they continue to rise up, or is Atlantic Coast football really just that far gone? Texas A&M is a team that I know a lot of people are going to roll their eyes at hearing as a sleeping giant. The Aggies are unlike any other team on this list because they don't have an extensive, successful past history of national titles and national relevance even, but Texas A&M has every single resource needed to be a national powerhouse. They have great talent acquisition. They've landed the #1 recruiting class in history that one season. They have a massive stadium with great fan support and a fan base that backs them fully. They have fantastic facilities, and most importantly, they have a ton of money flowing into the program. You can make fun of it and say, oh, bought, not built, all that stuff. But the more money you pump into a program, something is going to hit eventually. It seems like the main issue for the Aggies has been their lack of ability to hire the right guy at head coach. But with the amount of money that they're pumping into this program, it's bound to break through eventually. Texas A&M, very clearly a sleeping giant. How about another massive sleeping giant, the Florida Gators? Florida won 3 national titles back in their heyday in the early 2000s and one in the 90s. And much like Miami, they have the ability to recruit at an elite level every season due to that Florida pipeline, the Georgia talent right there, the Bama talent very accessible. Back-to-back really bad hires put Florida in the dumps after the Urban Meyer era. Will Muschamp and Jim McElwain, both guys that just completely flamed out with the Gators. And I really think they made a mistake firing Dan Mullen too quickly. If you look back, Dan Mullen had 3 top 10 finishes in a row and then went 5-6 and gets fired. And I really think Mullen was doing good things at the Gators, despite I know there were some alarming trends with recruiting and whatnot, but I really think he would have been fine and things would have evened out. Probably some stuff going on behind the scenes there. And we'll see what happens with Billy Napier. I think I could see Napier being a guy that works out for Florida, but obviously it doesn't look great so far, and we're going to have to see what happens there. But what was once an extremely well-run program has some signs of cracks, but I still think they're capable of getting back to that elite level that they were once at. Last, we have the Auburn Tigers. Now, Auburn has shown the ability to compete for and win national titles year in and year out. And when they're at peak operations, we just haven't seen them at their peak operation in a little while. Every single season, Auburn's goal is to beat and compete with Alabama, and Alabama was at that level. So with the investment there for Auburn, they were really able to get up to speed and win that national title with Cam Newton. And because of that, this is a sleeping giant because they've just been in a spot where they've had a few bad hires and they haven't really been able to move on after firing Gus Malzahn. I really thought Malzahn was the guy for Auburn, a guy that could beat Alabama like 1 out of every 3 meetings and have them in a position to where they're a game or 2 away from being in the national title conversation every season, but it seems that they wanted to move on from him. I still think it was the bad move, but we'll see if Auburn can turn things around. Hugh Freeze is hoping to be able to get them back to those heights, and I think they're always going to be a program that's capable of doing that. Thank you guys for watching this video. As usual, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. As you can see, we got a bit of a different background going on here. It's the first video in the new office. We're going to start decorating these shelves a little bit more. You can see there's still some blank space to fill. So we're going to be getting that set up slowly but surely. That's going to be awesome. But thank you guys again for all your support of the channel, and I will see you guys later.